A very good evening and a warm welcome to your weekend edition of Primetime News on TV1. On behalf of the Newsfirst team, I'm Zeenat Musafa, along with our news interpreter for tonight, Thalkai Gabriel via Zoom. Let's first take a look at your headlines for today.
International challenges will be faced fearlessly, President says during the discussion with the village program.
බලය බෙදීම කියලා මේ නැවත බෙදුම්වාදය ගෙනල්ලා ඒ අයට අවශ්‍ය මේ භූ දේශපාලනික අවශ්‍යතාවයන් ඉටු කරගන්නට අපේ ස්වෛරීත්වය පාවා දෙන්නට අපි සූදානම් නැහැ.
Trade union on protecting the environment established.
අනිසි පාරිසරික හායනය නවතා ගැනීමටත් අපි කටයුතු කරන්න බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා.
කුමන ආණ්ඩුව ආවත් කුමන පක්ෂය ආවත් අපි රාජකාරී කරන්න බැඳිලා ඉන්නවා. අපිට පාට කණ්ණාඩි දාගෙන කටයුතු කරන්න බෑ.
Substandard oil imported to the country, SLSI inspection reveals. Opposition hits the streets against rising cost of goods. Government the Dham savia launches 2 religious books.
On to your top story tonight, another phase of the discussions with the village program took place in the village of Kirivalkale in Matara today. The 16th phase of the discussion with the village program was held in the Darangala Mahavidyalaya in Pittabedara today.
All the pages of the Presidential Commission's report have said that the April 21st attacks had occurred as the previous government had paid less prominence to national security. This basically means that the standards of national security have dropped drastically. They co-sponsored a resolution in Geneva and destroyed the country's sovereignty and freedom. We withdrew from the co-sponsorship of the resolution in Geneva. Therefore, they are working against us, but we can face it. We are an independent country. We are capable of managing our own affairs. We will face these challenges without any fear. That is what is required. We don't need to intervene in power struggles that are taking place in the Indian Ocean with the intervention of promoting their so-called liberal policies. We are unwilling to sacrifice the country's sovereignty to fulfill their geopolitical needs by allowing separatism to emerge through power devolution. We were elected to power to rectify these matters. All the problems that I had to face under my presidency were by attempting to rectify the previous government's mistakes.
මට මුහුණ දෙන්නට වුණු ප්‍රශ්න සියල්ලක්ම ගිය ආණ්ඩුව කරපු දේවල් නිසා ඒවා නිවැරදි කරන්න ගිහිල්ලා.
The president explained the government's plans to protect the environment as well.
පරිසරය පිළිබඳව මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂ
Under the presidency of Mahinda Rajapaksa, we took steps to transform Colombo into a sustainable city and one of the world's leading cities. Look at the extent of things that we have carried out under our government. Claims are being made to the effect that environmental destruction is taking place across areas that we visit in the Kalutara, Gaul and Matra districts. We took steps to stop cultivation taking place on those lands. By 2030, we hope to increase the usage of renewable energy sources such as solar energy and wind energy up to 70%. We launched a project about a week ago. This project allows 7,000 small-scale tea estate owners and small entrepreneurs to invest in solar energy and contribute them to the national grid. 800 of them will be allowed to do so under the first phase. We have informed the Agriculture Minister to reduce chemical fertilizer usage by 25% annually and promote carbonic fertilizer. The usage of fuel will drop when we resort to renewable energy sources. When the usage of fuel drops, the air would become clean. However, when we attempt to undertake such measures, the oil mafia will carry out a work plan to act against countries like ours. There is a discrepancy between their words and actions. They establish misconceptions among people through social media. How much falsehood is being propagated? The people must avoid repeating the mistakes that were caused as a result of defeating Mahinda Rajapaksa.
ජනතාව ප්‍රවේශම් වෙන්නට ඕන. එදා මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂ ජනාධිපතිතුමාව පරාජයට පත් කළා වෙච්ච වැරද්ද නැවතත් ඒක කරන්නට ඉඩ තියන්නට එපා.
On to another headline-making story, a trade union calling itself as the Confederation of Government Trade Unions for Environment was established today.
The Environmental Officers Union of the Central Environmental Authority and unions attached to the Department of Wildlife Conservation and the Department of Forest Conservation have joined hands to form the new trade union.
We hope to set out the regulations that are required to be followed during the process of ensuring sustainable development in the country. At the same time, we hope to protect the rights of professionals, ensure the protection of the society that has been provided by the community itself, and also to prevent futile development activities that are taking place under the guise of development. We also hope to stop the environmental destruction that is taking place in the country.
පාරිසරික හායනය නවතා ගැනීමටත් අපි කටයුතු කරන්න බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා.
අපේ රටේ අපි දකිනවා මේ වෙනකොට
It is clear that we have a significant environmental issue in the country. As officials, we have made efforts to see what can be done about this for a long time. However, by this time, it is clear that it is the policies of this country that have led to most of these issues. Whether anyone after Kannangara has made correct policy choices is a serious question that I would like to raise. Therefore, we urge that a clear and a well thought out land policy be drafted so that the endangered areas and elephant passes are protected and other lands are used for the development activities. If this is done, I believe many of these issues would be resolved. However, what is happening now is that all land are being taken for development activities and only the leftovers are being protected. This is an entirely wrong procedure. This is why ecosystems are being destroyed and the human-elephant conflict is escalating. As public servants, regardless of the political party that is in power, we have to carry out our duties. We cannot go about looking at these things with tinted lenses. Public servants are there to work towards the betterment of the country. If anyone is working towards the same goal, sitting and creating disputes is of no use. We need to come together and move forward towards a common objective. When differences of opinion arise, we need to be able to discuss them constructively and set the country on the right path.
අන්න ඒ අවශ්‍ය මාවත සකසන්න තමයි අපි මේ රාජ්‍ය සේවක එකමුතුව එකතු වෙලා ඉන්නේ.
යම්කිසි පරිසර පද්ධතියක් විනා
We must pay attention as to why a certain environmental system got created and why it was turned into a reserve or a sanctuary. It's because of the public need. It is the public that form these laws. Under the laws created by the people, they have turned into reserves. So it is the people who name methods to protect them. Institutions like Central Environmental Authority, Department of Wildlife Conservation and the Department of Forest Conservation are created for its protection.
වන සංරක්ෂණ මධ්‍යම පරිසර අධිකාරියෝගේ ආයතන බිහි වෙලා තියෙනවා.
The manner in which state officers have continued to stand against environmental destruction as politicians continue to defend such acts deserves appreciation. The entire country is indebted to these state officers who are voluntarily coming forward to protect the environment. We respect the struggle carried out by these officers to protect the environment regardless of any differences.
A team of officials, including the Lifeguard Divisional Secretary, visited the Singharaja Reserve after reports of environmental destruction taking place in the area had come to light recently. More than 60 acres of land in the reserve have been cleared by an organized group so far. Accordingly, the officials, including the Divisional Secretary, inspected the destruction that has taken place in the area.
1994 හරක්වාඩි තිබුණා. හරක්වාඩි තියෙන්න පුළුවන්. හරක්වාඩි තිබුණාට කමක් නැහැ නේ. හරක් ඉන්න බෑ. ඒකට කැලේ කපන්නේ. කැලේ කපලද? ඒක තමයි අපි කියන්නේ. බලන්න ඕනේ. කැලේ කපන්නේ. ප්‍රස්තාව බලන්න ඕනේ. ඔව් හරක් කිදියට කමක් නැහැ. මේ පෙන්නන බලපත්‍රය මේ බලපත්‍රය එකින් එකට ඉඩම් වලට අපි කියන්නේ පෙන්නන්න කියලා. එක එකනට දාලා. ඒකට එතන කැලයක් නැහැ කලකට ඉන්නේ.
අර එක පහ චක්ලේ දිනවා. ඒකෙන් පස්සේ නිකුත් වෙලා තියෙනවා අවලං ගන්න දින මට ලියුමක් දුන්නා. මම මෙහෙන් දැස් ඒ කාල සීමාවේ වගේ මේ අදාළ ඒරියා ටිකේ අපි
We respect the visit paid by these officials to inspect the site of the environmental destruction. The interim report of the committee appointed to inquire into environmental destruction taking place near the Singharaja Forest Reserve was handed over to Environment Minister Mahinda Amaraweera today. After studying the documents related to the land that is under the spotlight, it is clear that it is a private land. It has been reported that no trees in this land have been cut down. The area in question is located 3.6 kilometers from the Singharaja forest near the Rakwana main road. I asked them to provide information on acquiring these lands. If large expanses of forest land are being annexed to Singharaja, that would be a decision taken by the government on the basis of policy. We have asked for a report on whether a gazette must be published on this. Only a certain number of trees are reported to have been cut down. An awareness program on environmental destruction in the Bulletin area in the Singharaja reserve took place in the Vaddagal area today. The event was organized by the National Intellectuals Organization. If construction activities are to take place within a sensitive ecosystem, an environmental impact assessment must be carried out. As far as we know, an environmental impact assessment has not been carried out for the project in question. I saw social media posts of a title deed suggesting that this is taking place on a private land. However, lawyers are saying that the deed had been obtained in July 2020. At the same time, the document must be legal. It doesn't seem to have such features. We know that those with power and wealth are attempting to cause environmental destruction by using their status. These rulers come into power by making promises of protecting the country and governing it, but they don't seem to reflect such intentions of protecting the country. Nowadays, environmental destruction is taking place by allowing individuals with links to those in power to occupy lands. The locals had this to say on the matter. I came here in 1973. This is the area through which elephants cross to head into Walakanda. Environmental destruction is rampant in the country. Deforestation has taken place by allowing houses to be constructed in such environments. They are constructing walls at the points from which water sources originate. This would obstruct water from flowing down. The leader of the Janasatha Peramuna, Venerable Bathramulle Silaratna Thero, visited the Bulletin area today. Meanwhile, a book titled Politics of the Rainforest, The Battles to Save Singharaja was launched in Colombo today. The book has been authored by Dr. Prasanna Kure. Veteran actress Irangani Sarah Singha attended the event as the chief guest.
Among the main reasons of climate change, we know deforestation by today has become the number 2 factor next to the burning of fossil fuels. As in some other parts of the world, in Sri Lanka too, we face a very bad phase of deforestation now, which has become more critical with the revoking of 5/2001 circular and introduction of 1/2020. We should learn from the mistakes of the past, of our own as well as elsewhere. I would like to remind you that the ongoing onslaught of Singharaja is not something new, but what was continuing at least for 2 decades, if not longer. There is one factor that underpins all this entire gamut of misdemeanors, and this is none other than the one big bad word, politics.
And in Prasanna's book, Prasanna has sought to explain to the general public and also to those who are interested as to what the Singharaja forest is, that national asset. Have we paid attention to it? Have we protected it? Have we stood against those people who are trying to destroy it? If we sit silent when that destruction takes place, then we will be blamed. We will have to face the repercussions, and we will be blamed by the future generation about the steps that we need to take within the law, because the law is there. No one can say that the law is not there. Legal provisions are there. The only difficulty is that we have not taken steps to protect it. We have not taken steps to implement the law. That is because we have not taken so serious.
Join me and millions around the world.
Earth Hour. Earth Hour.
Earth Hour. I'm switching off for Earth Hour because I think our planet is worth fighting for.
Earth Hour, organized to raise awareness about the need to protect nature and raise awareness on climate change, is being observed across the globe today. It urges people around the world to switch off non-essential lights and electrical appliances for 1 hour from 8:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. The objective of the exercise is to raise awareness about the climate crisis and the need to protect nature by building a sustainable future for all. The symbolic effort started in 2007 in Sydney, Australia, when the Worldwide Fund for Nature encouraged 2.2 million people to turn off their lights for 1 hour to support action on climate change. Landmarks such as the Eiffel Tower, Big Ben, Sydney Opera House, the Empire State Building, Buckingham Palace, the Colosseum and Edinburgh Castle also have gone dark for an hour in previous years. Countries such as New Zealand, Australia, New Caledonia, Fiji and South Korea have geared up to join millions across the world to celebrate Earth Hour this year as well. In light of the COVID-19 pandemic, the Earth Hour global organizing team has recommended all individuals to take part digitally.
Meanwhile, Turukapakaru, an island-wide tree planting campaign jointly launched by Dham at the V4's Lanka Private Limited and the Sri Lanka Scouts Association, which commenced yesterday, continued today as well. The objective of the initiative is to plant 25,000 saplings across the country within 16 days. These were the views expressed by S.C. Veerasekara, the group director of the Capital Maharaja Group.
The trees provide water and oxygen required by all living beings in the country. However, humans are inflicting harm upon the trees in an ungrateful manner. They are destroying them. They are totally disregarding trees that have provided shade, fulfilled hunger and collected water for their benefit. The reason for this is because we are gradually distancing ourselves from the environment.
Meanwhile, saplings were planted in the Henagama Central College Gampaha, the Biyagama Mahavidyalaya and Maristella College Nigambu under the Turukapakaru campaign.
A discussion took place today regarding the mineral sand deposits in the Kirindi area in Tissamaharamaya. The discussion was chaired by Industries Minister Vimal Veeravangsha.
A group of officers, including Minister Vimal Veeravangsha, visited the area to explore the possibility of bringing the mineral sand deposits in Kirindi under the purview of Lanka Mineral Sands Limited. The cabinet presented a memorandum to take over the mineral sand deposits in Kirinda under the purview of Lanka Mineral Sands Limited. The main objective of this meeting was to communicate this matter to all of you. A group of representatives of the Human Resources Welfare Organization voicing their opposition against the move said they had already entered into an agreement with an Indian company over the mineral deposits. We have already entered into an agreement with an Indian company. According to this agreement, we are paid 4,000 rupees daily. We would be grateful if you allow us to continue to facilitate this agreement. Are you proposing to go forward with an Indian company instead of the government? This is a move by the government to raise income for our country's treasury. Allowing an overseas entity to benefit should not be the priority. I urge all of you to refrain from facilitating such agreements. The minister left the premises subsequently. The group that voiced their opposition against the move disclosed the agreement they had entered into with the Indian entity. It was our committee that showed the government the location of the mineral sands deposit. However, without taking that into account, he has decided that this must be carried out by the government. Chama Rajapaksa is our district leader. No one can supersede his decisions. We have been with the Rajapaksas since the 1970s.
Crossing over for a short commercial break, stay tuned to News First.
Struggling to find reliable plumbers, electricians, gardeners and other service providers? Bellboys got you covered.
Back to the news. The Gum at the Dham Savia program was held today and the Maha Sangha who attended the event launched 2 books. The event was held at the Newsfirst head office at Braybrook Place, Colombo.
The Maha Sangha from the Hunupitiya Gangarama temple attended the event. The event was attended by the Anunayaka of the Malwatu chapter of the Siam sect, Most Venerable Dimbul Kumbure Vimaladama Thero, the acting Mahanayaka of the Sri Lanka Amalpura sect, Most Venerable Gantune Assaji Thero, and the Anunayaka of the Sri Lanka Ramanya sect, Matale Dhammakusala Thero, and the Viharadhikari of the Hunupitiya Gangarama temple, Venerable Dr. Kirunde Assaji Thero. These 2 books that included 20 Dhamma sermons delivered by the Venerable Theros from across the island were presented to the Mahasangha by the Group Director of the Capital Maharaja Group, Shivan Daniel.
Gammadda has gone to the people after gathering venerable Theros like this and looking into the issues faced by the villagers and other factions of society. The members of the Gammadda team go to these villages and meet with the venerable Theros in the village and discuss about the issues faced by the residents of these villages. When these issues are identified, a special program can be launched to resolve them. There is a section of this society that moves away from the Dhamma education. A child who attends Dhamma school till the age of 18 moves away from it afterwards. After marriage, these people get connected to the temple in some way. But there is a gap of about 20 years in between where they are not connected to the temples. During that period, they act in whichever way they please. We need to protect this group of people. It is very important to do something like this through the Gum at the Dham Savia program.
The service rendered by the Mahasangha in areas far from the cities including Nagadeepa, Trincomalee, Galembindurwawa, who were also in attendance at the event, were appreciated.
Our chairman asked us to launch this Dham Savia program. Our objective is to provide an opportunity to teach our youth about the pure teachings of the Buddhist philosophy. If we cannot protect the purity of Buddhism, then we are not true Sri Lankans. Through the truth hidden in the Dhamma, we all believe that we can take our country to a position surpassing all other states.
අපිට නිර්මල දහම ආරක්ෂා කරන්න බැරි වුණොත් එහෙමනම් අපි ඇත්තටම ලාංකිකයන් නෙමෙයි.
After the launch of the Dham Savia books, an alms giving was also conducted.
According to the word of the Buddha, distorting the principal Dhamma teachings is an insult to Lord Buddha. Understanding it properly and acting on it is a great respect to Lord Buddha. Instances of distorting the teachings happen often. Since there are organized groups who distort teachings worldwide, this is a time when both the ordained and the layman must be vigilant. It is important that the chairman and board of directors of Sirasa to try and spread Dhamma from village to village through a special program. It's commendable that the Dhamma is issued in print, making it available to read.
On to another headline-making story. Protests were staged in several areas today against the increase in the prices of goods, deforestation and media suppression.
A protest was staged in Mathura today against the increase in the prices of goods, deforestation and the suppression of media. The protest organized by the Samagijana Balawege was staged opposite the bus depot in Mathura. It has come to a point where people can no longer live. The prices of goods have skyrocketed. Even the oil imported by the government is carcinogenic and cannot be used by the people. How can people prepare New Year treats? The government has imported oil that causes cancer. A silent demonstration was staged in Atkadura, Gaul today against the increase in the prices of goods and environmental destruction. Meanwhile, another protest was staged in Udispatua, Kandy today against illegal land grabbing, the sugar scam and the increase in the prices of goods.
Parliamentarian Dr. Harsha De Silva has dismissed claims that gas prices should be increased as cargo ships have been stuck in a traffic jam along the Suez Canal in Egypt.
There
is a conception that the government might have to increase the price of gas as several ships have been stuck in the Suez Canal. Our politicians are trying to suggest that price of gas will be increased due to this. But there is no connection between the two matters. 40% of the container traffic flows through the Suez Canal. But if we consider the global market, analysts say that it is about 12%. What is the problem relating to gas? Gas companies have earned profits for several years. In April 2020, the prices of gas dwindled drastically in the world market. We prepared a transparent price formula under our government to ensure that the prices are changed once in 2 months. But this government made a political decision to scrap off the formula. The problem lies here. When prices drop in the world market, the benefit is not passed on to the people. We can argue that this is not an issue relating to the Suez Canal, but something that has been created by them politically.
Tests carried out by the Sri Lanka Standards Institute have revealed that the stocks of coconut oil imported by one of the 4 importers are below the required standards.
The Director General of the Sri Lanka Standards Institute, Dr. Siddhika Senaratna, said the oil samples of the 3 other importers are currently being tested. She added that the oil sample that was below standard had been subjected to testing twice. According to the Director General, the Department of Customs had informed the importer to re-export the coconut oil consignment that was found to be below standards. The Sri Lanka Standards Institute further said that the 13 controversial consignments of oil has been sealed with the intervention of the Department of Customs.
It is wrong to say that this is a result of the government's policies. We can always witness certain businessmen taking undue advantage of the government's decisions. That is when the law must be enforced. They must be identified and punished to rectify the situation. On one hand, laws must be strengthened for this purpose. The correct approach must be adopted in this regard. The suspect must be punished swiftly as well. Stocks of carcinogenic oil have been released to the market. Initially, the consignment of oil was held by the customs. However, the government and the Standards Institution intervened in this matter and pressured customs to release it. The individual involved in this matter is the same individual who was involved in the sugar scam. This individual is now the head of the Sri Lanka Standards Institution, who will be held accountable for the release of carcinogenic oil to the market.
The Treasury lost out revenue worth more than 16.5 billion rupees as one importer brought down 40% of the total imported consignments of sugar to the country. Who was behind the reduction in the import levy? This move deprived the Treasury of funds worth 15.9 billion. The same importer brought down coconut oil as well. The Gazette had been amended to benefit him in this instance. He earned undue profits through this as well. While allegations on the sugar scam continued to mount, the Sri Lanka Standards Institute was brought under the president. You know that there is a discourse on substandard coconut oil. Today they said that the coconut oil consignment brought down by one importer was found to contain aflatoxin, which is a harmful element. A coconut oil scam also took place in the country. Then the people of our country need to know the importer who had brought down the oil consignment, which according to the Sri Lanka Standards Institute had contained aflatoxins.
Container ලංකාවට ගෙන්නපු ආනයනකරුවන් කවුද? ඒක දැනගන්න එක වැදගත්.
Meanwhile, leader of the opposition Sajid Premadasa expressed his views regarding the importation of the consignment of coconut oil that is of inadequate standards. He expressed these views during the 62nd edition of the opposition leader's mobile service program held in Kawantissapura Tissamaharama.
While several health officials and members of the Ministry of Health charged that the coconut oil was carcinogenic, the government decided to import this consignment that is of inadequate standards. The companies have provided toxic and substandard coconut oil to the markets. By now, the public must have already purchased this from the market as well. They would have used it for consumption. The citizens of Sri Lanka will have to face severe consequences due to this. The citizens of Sri Lanka will be badly affected due to this. The people who are behind the sugar scam are working behind this fraudulent activity as well. At this rate, I think that we will have to commence the construction of more crematoriums in our country.
President's Counsel Salia Piris was inducted as the President of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka today. This was during its 47th annual convocation.
The 47th annual convocation of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka was held at the BMICH this afternoon. Chief Justice Jayanta Jayasuriya, Justice Minister Ali Sabri and Attorney General Dapula Dilivera were amongst the dignitaries present during the occasion. President's Counsel Salia Piris, who was recently elected as the President of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka, was inducted into his position at the event.
I believe in a bar which is united, and I believe we must look to the factors which unite us rather than to those factors which tend to divide and separate us. A united and strong bar is essential for the strength of the association. In a free society, practicing the rule of law, it is essential that the absolute independence of the judiciary must be guaranteed. Members of the legal profession in any country have over and above their ordinary duties as citizens, a special duty to seek ways and means of securing in their own country the maximum degree of independence for the judiciary. The bar will continue to be committed to ensuring to a maximum degree the independence of the judiciary and to seek ways and means by which the independence of the judiciary can not only be safeguarded but also be enhanced.
We are well aware that the underlying issue in delay, amongst other matters, is the sheer number of cases before court and massive backlog, which in turn has resulted in litigation stagnating. Our priority to roll out a holistic solution to this perennial loss delays problem, one which would be a game changer, is to put in motion a practical strategy to take a massive leap in the efficiency of hearing cases. In pursuance of this, we are determined to double the number of judges within the next 5 years. As we are aware, the House of Justice project was launched a few weeks ago, and we hope to have the first tower constructed within a short period of time. Pre-trial procedure is to be streamlined and revamped. The establishment of a small claim court is being planned, and debt conciliation and mediation are being considered as mainstream solution, working in tandem with the courts. One of the vital reforms that is currently in the process.
The Colombo Port City Economic Commission Bill, covering several matters surrounding the port city that is currently under construction, was published this week.
The Colombo Port City Economic Commission Bill has been published upon the orders of the President, covering at least 8 matters surrounding the port city. According to the bill, the government has decided to establish a special economic zone aimed at attracting investments and providing the necessary services and facilities required on the economic front. The bill adds that all matters concerning administration and regulation of operations taking place within the Colombo Port City will be handled by the Colombo Port City Economic Commission. The Commission will function as the sole point of contact for investors and will be empowered to grant registration licenses, authorizations to carry out businesses and other activities in the area. Businesses in the port city that are recognized as those of strategic importance upon consultation with the President or the relevant minister will be offered tax exemptions and incentives under the law. The proposed legislation will also see the establishment of an international commercial dispute resolution center in the port city to offer dispute resolution services. Meanwhile, the bill has vested powers with the Colombo Port City Economic Commission to promote urban amenities with the settlement of a residential community and to obtain possession of commercial residential facilities.
The Bangladesh Prime Minister's Foreign Affairs Advisor has said that their country has learnt a lesson from Sri Lanka with regard to maintaining ties with China.
The Bangladesh Prime Minister's Foreign Affairs Advisor, Gauhar Rizvi, has told the Indian Express that his country does not believe in developing a relationship with China at the expense of ties with India. Rizvi has told the Indian news outlet that, quote, "Our relationship with China is very much confined to investments and development projects. However, even then, we have been very mindful," end quote. The Prime Minister's advisor had noted that Bangladesh does not want to borrow more than their repayment capacity, as it has learned a lesson from Sri Lanka and the Eastern African state of Djibouti. He had said, quote, "We know how to guard our sovereignty. We became an independent state through a war of liberation," end quote. Rizvi's remarks came as Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi began a 2-day official visit to Bangladesh as the hosting state celebrated its Golden Jubilee of independence.
Why did India abstain from voting on the resolution tabled against Sri Lanka at the United Nations Human Rights Council? The spokesperson of India's Bharatiya Janata Party has commented on this matter.
What happened as we abstained from voting? Was the resolution defeated? No. India ignored the resolution that was brought against Sri Lanka. The Indian government has continued to remain in the same stance that it adopted in 2014. This must not be considered as a decision in favor of Sri Lanka. It cannot be considered like that. No one must forget that it was Venkaiah Naidu who voiced strong concerns regarding the murders that were committed in 2009. We must not forget that it was the Congress that provided complete support towards these activities. If you are questioning why we abstained from voting, you can observe that 14 countries abstained from voting as well. This is going to create the notion that Sri Lanka must remain dependent on India. Sri Lanka won the support of various states including Pakistan, China and Bangladesh. You can understand India's diplomacy if you consider the countries that abstained from voting along with us over the resolution. We were not in power at that time, but it was the Bharatiya Janata Party that voiced its concerns heavily. We wish to state that this was nothing short of ethnic cleansing. Can we keep on responding to the remarks made by Sri Lanka thanking us? The Sri Lankan government and its media institutions reported that India had supported us, but we are denying it. What is our stance? We are abstaining. Does abstaining mean supporting? No, that is not the case.
இது அப்ஸ்டெயின் பண்ணாத நம்ம வெளியே வந்ததனால என்ன ஆயிடுச்சு? இந்த தீர்மானம் தோத்து போச்சா இல்லையே நிறைவேறி.
The felicitation ceremony for the participants of a surf lifeguard workshop was held at the Sri Lanka Life Saving Head Office in Mount Lavinia today.
The 15-day surf lifeguard workshop had been organized by Sri Lanka Life Saving in partnership with the US Embassy's Colombo Civil Military Support Element team over a period of 3 months. The organizers of the event described the workshop that was held on skill development and water safety as an attempt to break the ice on the inactiveness of civil life-saving clubs. The felicitation ceremony for the participants of the workshop was held today.
This is a very important mission. This is a very important occupation as we know Sri Lanka is an island and there's a lot of water. There's a lot of lakes, there's a lot of pools, and this is very important for us to train the next group of people to watch after our kids and those who are not familiar with the water.
This is a event that has been started after Corona pandemic. So each participant came through different challenges. In this program, totally 57 participants being completed.
And that's a wrap of Primetime News for tonight. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Zeenat Musafir and we were joined by Brian De Cruz via Zoom, who was our news interpreter for tonight. Don't forget to log on to our award-winning website www.Newsfirst.lk for more of the latest updates. Good night and take care.